All right. What is up, everybody? Welcome back. This is our second episode of FlightPath Chat. Yes, a whole year since the last one. Today, we're joined with friend of the show, Akalix.
Hello, hello.
We just finished our hurricane prep, so this is supposed to happen yesterday. So there's that. Probably storming outside, might lose internet, who knows. But yeah, today we're talking about the future of Turtle One, what's coming in the near future. So you don't need introductions because you definitely already been on the show before. So let's jump right into this with the big question that everybody's had for like probably since the timeline dropped. When can we estimate Tower of Kazan dropping?
I will say less than a month.
Less than a month. So prior to December.
Yes.
All right, so about in line with about the same time the last patch dropped, so October-ish, maybe in November, around that time.
Yeah, a little bit off from when we had a patch release last year. But over time, this patch has slowly crept bigger and bigger to the point where it has become quite literally the size of an expansion in
Yeah,
Blizzard terms.
that's what it's felt like. Every time you guys make an announcement or a teaser, it definitely just feels like a huge undertaking for a team of your size, like just basically releasing expansions worth of content for one singular patch. Do you think like maybe it could have been broken down into like a couple more phases? Because I feel like the last patch was definitely like phase one of this patch, and do you think it could have been broken up a little bit more?
Looking back at it, I definitely wish that we would have broken the patch up a little bit more, had it be a little bit more separated.
I know one of the things my guild is like always asks is like about just all the major changes happening all at once instead of progressively. Is that something you guys in the future like look to doing? Like maybe releasing class like changes like more frequently than just once every major patch?
100%. We're actually very much planning on within the month after this patch releases, we're going to have more class changes coming out, little hot fixes, not full scope changes like this, because we're doing beyond a TBC level of work, putting in like basically every single tree is getting changed at least a little bit. Every single class, every spec is getting some sort of change. So
All right.
we're putting
So
in a ton of changes into the 1.17.2. So going forward from that into what we're going to be doing in like patches after that, it's going to be smaller changes. We very much expect that there are going to be some numbers that need tweaked a little, and there are going to be little interactions that just don't work how we want them to, and various things that we can't really find just from our internal QA, and that players will bring to our attention when it's actually live and in the game. And that's why we are within the month after the patch drops, we're going to push a micro patch to just change a little thing here and there as is needed.
okay. So as a Paladin main, I have to ask about the taunt. The
I
prop Paladin main.
believe that there's going to be some sort of easier way for paladins to get threat, not just from
From Seal the Righteous and then Consecration.
not just from hoping that things get angry at you and buying a
Mm-hmm.
lot of sigils to pop kings repeatedly.
I I know a lot of the community wants Paladin to be deleted.
I mean, that is one solution. It's not exactly going to be one that I'm going to recommend.
I'm just saying, I mean, every expansion going forward, it became the best tank. I like pushing the warriors buttons. As like every expansion, they slowly became less and less relevant. But yeah, the other thing is like I've been playing Enhancement Shaman a lot, and I 1000% feel like that's one of those classes that needs a big change. Is that something that just is getting completely overhauled, or like Enhancement Shaman, for example?
I don't know the exact details of how much is getting changed for him, but I know that for each of the problematic specs in classes, um, they are getting attention. There is not a single spec or class that is not being looked at and changed somehow. Some are obviously getting bigger changes than others. Some that are in pretty good states are not getting too much changed about them. But the overall goal is to have every class and spec be viable in one way or another. That
Yep.
doesn't necessarily mean that everything is going to pump on the same level. There are going to be some classes that just do more damage than others, but then there will be some that make other contributions in different regards. There will be different usefulness from different directions from classes. It's the sort of thing we want everyone to be able to have a raid spot, but in the um, sweater parser type, there's always going to be a meta because there's always going to be something that is the best. So
I personally like that approach where every class is viable. Obviously, there will always be classes that are going to out DPS everything, warriors, mages. But like I feel like that's where Blizzard just kind of started taking a weird approach where they just kind of tailored a lot of just favoritism sort of classes, like Wrath Lich King, Warlocks, and Paladins were just king, and Death Knights. But yeah, just I feel that change is gonna be very good because it definitely opened up a lot more doors to people that right now are kind of playing dead specs and just hoping that they get brought into groups. Personally, like my guild, for example, like they don't care what you play, so that's good. They let me play prop paladin for whatever god awful reason.
a lot of people hate on it, but Prop Paladin is not terrible.
When
Already.
I discovered the spell power hacks, so that was, and then shaman totems, so that was significantly great. I have a celebrity in the chat, a Turtle Wow celebrity in the chat right now. He's saying enhancement
The Rograg Fish Slayer.
The Rograg Fish Slayer is in our chat. He is saying enhancement shaman is getting a lot of work.
I do believe enhancement is up there with some of the highest changed classes. The one that I'm most interested in, honestly, is Survival Hunter and Arcane Mage. Those are the two that I'm really excited for.
I think one of the questions that probably I should have had on this is Survival Hunter. Melee spec or range spec? What is the objective there?
So to give a little bit of insight into Survival Hunter, there is definitely more melee encouragement.
Because I've been playing almost every class now just to see the changes and get a feel for them. And Hunter feels pretty good. I haven't played survival, but then I got Aspect of the Wolf and I was like, oh, I wonder how this could be viable. Maybe if more melee abilities got added on at some point. I don't know if that's on the table for survival.
As very so there, I will reveal there is a melee ability being added for survival, as well as a couple other things here and there for it. I can actually pull up for myself the talent tree for it, so that I don't say anything incorrect.
Dota, thank you for the follow. I'm gonna try to acknowledge follows, guys, but as we're going through this, maybe like in the quiet times, I will.
So, to comment a little bit better on survival, I'm pulling it up now. The biggest change is going to be that it is more about overall creativity in combat. It's very much going to be based around a combination of traps and both melee and ranged abilities. But the primary gameplay is going to mostly be melee, with a new ability named Carve.
Okay. I like the sound of that. Um, so honestly, basically, so with the couple questions I've asked you so far, it does sound like every class is getting an expansion's worth of content in terms of changes. So,
Uh,
yeah, go ahead.
so each class is getting a at least TBC level attention put into it, though some of them are getting a lot more than others. And the other one that I mentioned earlier was Arcane Mage. Arcane Mage is very much being changed into the can you manage your mana class. There is a specific ability that is going to be added to it that includes a spontaneous explosion where you will die if you do not manage your mana.
What?
So
What?
I'm very much looking forward to seeing that one implemented because it is very much a exciting little challenge. You're going to get a lot more damage out, but just don't mess up. Smile.
Yeah, so that's interesting. I kind of like that. So it's you get good or you die. I like that mechanic. Yeah, okay. That's actually a huge change. Um so Arcane Mage at some point I think gets like a bloodlust ability. What's the team's view on like a bloodlust ability? Not raid wide, but maybe like a group wide for some classes? Like a haste buff?
So the what they will be getting is going to be in the form of the sort of bloodlust buff, where they will be getting a casting speed increase that will be draining their total mana every second that it is activated. And the fun there is if your total mana drops beneath a certain percentage, you spontaneously combust from uncontrollable power
Huh.
and die.
All right. So somebody in chat saying bark skin for bear form, please. So more cooldowns for bear tanks is looking like what people are interested in too. Is that? I feel like a lot of people in chat right now are just very curious about the class changes, and they're gonna be asking questions about their mains.
Overall, I'm not going to share too much detail-wise about class changes because I can't give exact numbers, and
No,
B, I
yeah,
don't want to
definitely.
spoil too much, but the changelog for that is going to be coming out very, very soon. So
Okay.
there's going to be plenty of time for everyone to experiment with that once it is out.
Okay. So guess let's just move on to the actual raids. So raiding. Karazhan, well, we might come back to the class, guys, if you guys just keep blowing us up with questions. Karazhan 40. So tier 3.5, as like you guys said. What level of difficulty can we expect in terms of like mechanics?
So mechanically and in general, difficulty-wise, it's going to be a bit more difficult than next regiments. We're not intending to make it be impossible
Mm-hmm.
for people. We're not trying to make it like unplayable and make it just like an absolute punch in the gut where you just absolutely cannot progress it. But it's going to be harder. It's going to be more difficult. It's going to be an actual gut check. Um, Karazhan is not going to be scaling down to 35 men. That's
Mhm.
the plan, at least currently, is it's going to be a 40-man pure.
Okay, so it's not scaling down. Are the plans to at some point kind of like Emerald Sanctum scale it down, let it scale down, or just conscious gonna stay like 40 man? Because that's basically gonna be
Emerald
the
Sanctum
capstone raid at this
in
point
the
now.
uh, in the next update, when 1.17.2 comes out, we plan on having Emerald Sanctum uh, being able to scale down more.
Okay. Okay. So gear wise, to get in, what are we looking at? Max level gear, AQ 40 level gear.
Well, it is going to be it's going to be similar to if you were to go to AQ 20. Um, in that sort of regard, it's not a full step up like going
Mhm.
from BWL to AQ 40 or AQ 40 to Nax, but it's still going to be a step up regardless. So it's going to be more difficult, higher stats than Nax. So you can obviously go in with some gear that is not all the way progressed forward, but it is still going to be higher. So I would recommend, especially when people are still figuring out what to do and still learning and progressing, you're going to want to have Nax gear if you're going to want to raid Kara. There are going to be some things like an arcane resist check that you just have to be able to pass. So coming in unprepared is not going to get you very far.
I feel like I think chat's a little bit behind here, but once they hear the arcane resist, they're gonna that the market for arcane resist is just gonna suddenly go bonkers here in a second.
We will also be adding some more arcane resist items.
Hmm.
So don't like spend 800 gold on a plus 10 arcane resist ring off the auction house. That's a world green. That's not smart. I would wait until the patch drops and then make your decisions as to what gear you need then.
Yeah. Okay. So that's good. So do you? Let me. I'm trying to figure out a better way to ask this. I don't like the current state of WoW rating, where there's a lot of things going on screen. That's the reason why I don't play retail. But I do like the level of difficulty in, say, like later expansions like Wrath of the Lich King and Burning Crusade. And some, do you guys plan on having mechanics similar to some of the fights in those expansions at some point?
We don't have exact details as to like I can't share the exact plans, but
Mm-hmm.
for raids like Kara 40 and Grimbatol, they are going to be more difficult. The plan is, especially with Grimbatol, to very much be it's special if somebody clears this. It's not just everyone can come hit the loot pinata for a couple weeks, get into a run and clear Naxxramas. It's very much you're not going to be able to have the like dad hunter who doesn't actually know that you can auto attack after using a spell and has to click auto, he thinks he has to click auto attack every time after using an ability, that sort of thing. You're going to have people who at least remotely know what they're doing and remotely understand how their class interacts with the game, because it's designed to be a bit of a challenge, because we really want Kara 40 somewhat, but especially in Grimbatol looking forward, we really want it to be something special for these people who have been raiding Naxxramas for 10, 15 years and enjoy the feel of classic vanilla raids that just hit home, but they want a new challenge because they've done 15 years of Naxxramas.
Yeah. I I like that. I like that mindset just because I get it. Everybody wants to see everything, but in MMOs, just historically, because I feel like Classic is the version of WoW that feels the most like a traditional MMO. Because you just don't have like hubs. You have like central hubs, but you just don't have like people just teleporting to dungeons. There's actually community. Like even in my review that I've been working on for a while now for Turtle WoW, it's just like I've had more fun playing on Turtle WoW, just exploring the world and meeting random people and just having random chats with people as I walk around than I have playing any other expansion. And I was never a big classic player until I kind of discovered this server. And I like that feeling. And just giving people like giving that feeling again when you see somebody wearing tier 4 and tier 3.5 gear, like, oh, this dude knows what's up. He didn't just like start playing yesterday. It's a good feeling. I
Yeah,
think.
I definitely think that the coolness of seeing someone in that sort of in the unique gear from those places, it's going to be a really nice feeling because that's the sort of thing that you get from like back in the day where it's like, oh, that guy has a legendary. That's
Mm-hmm.
really cool. You know that guy, like they play the game. They know what's going on, at least a little bit. And the goal is to sort of recapture that feeling.
Like today, for example, I was leveling my druid and I ran into Red Ridge boss in Red
Oh,
Ridge. Yeah, I
I
ran
have a
into
feeling you must have had fun.
yeah. No, I was honestly super excited to meet Red Ridge boss. I had never met him before. Like, it was a great feeling. I was honestly not even mad that I got killed.
Fair enough.
I am like I'm pro war mode just because it's World of Warcraft.
I think some of the most fun experiences can be with two people who want to have actual like in the game fun with stuff like war mode.
Mm-hmm.
Some of my favorite memories are of being PvP flagged in war mode as a alliance, going through Swamp of Sorrows and one of the Blacktooth Grin players, which is
Mm-hmm.
a RP PvP guild. Um, Coming up to me, sapping me, and talking to me in say before fighting me. And we actually had a pretty good fight. Like, I'm not gonna lie, that fight went on for a good bit, and it was good. Like, and that was a lot more fun than just random person shows up, saps me, full combos me, I'm dead. And that's not as fun as someone telling me that they're going to kick my ass for being on their land before proceeding to kick my ass.
Yeah, no, like I definitely have started appreciating the RP value of the RP of some players. It's been really good just having that. Like I said, the world feels more alive. Somebody Rograg asks, what about the player that did hardcore war mode, exhaustion, and vagrant recently?
That sounds like a fun one.
Was that Rograg that did that? Because I'm actually not familiar with that person. We'll
I
find we'll
am
find
not
out here
quite
shortly.
sure.
Um,
Um,
yeah. So that's actually kind of wild. Just the thought of that's got my brain boggled, my mind boggled just now. It's a story that got lost in the mix. All right. So so just gonna address kind of like the elephant in the room with the data breach that happened. Has the roadmap been delayed like a significant amount or?
there's no denying that it definitely did get delayed a bit by that. It certainly did not help us trying to get everything out as quickly as possible when we had to take weeks to focus on that instead of development, which sucks. But overall, we were able to get everything back into a good state to be able to be like actually making progress on everything. So it did delay it a little bit, but we're back into a good spot to be deving, and we're very much into the rhythm of it now. And while this patch is just about done and just about to be released, um, I can also say that 1.18 is going to come much faster than this patch did. I
Okay.
think that a lot of people will be surprised by the turnaround time between the two patches.
Um, I think just one of the questions that I had about 1.18. Actually, let me pull up the roadmap real quick just so we're on the same page about 1.18 because I know I had a question about it. Hang on here, chat. if you've watched me play, if you watch my stream and you watched me play before, you would not be surprised how unprepared I am for things. There we go. Okay. So the towers, that was one of the questions I had. So is this, are you pushing more of an open world PvP like aspect for the community? Because I know like for a long time it's just been the RP server, and then you guys released Telebeam, but
So the idea behind the PvP towers, it's been changed up a couple different times, but there's still going to be open world PvP objectives, including a PvP tower, that sort of thing. Um, there's going to be one that I will probably be posting a teaser of very soon that is going to be between Red Ridge and Swamp of Sorrows. And it's the entire idea of it is to try to have more organic um, open world PvP. And this is going to be a bit of non organic open world PvP where it is very much this is an objective that's forcing people to come out into the open world and fight for it at a certain time. But we're hoping that that's going to lead to some more natural open world PvP, as well as I think that this can also lead to some very big scale PvP where battlegrounds are limited to stuff like 10v10, 20v20, 40v40, all that sort of idea. In theory, this could be hundreds of people fighting each other, which is very much that's going to be very exciting to see because, in my opinion, the absolute most fun PvP in a vanilla WoW world is when it's an absolute war and everyone is fighting each other.
I remember South Shore was one of some of the better experiences I had on Classic. When I did try Classic for a little bit, and I think when it launched, then South Shore was kind of really fun. The South Shore battles. But so will the towers be like time based? So like they won't just be always be up 24/7 where people are just gonna be constantly contesting for them, but
So the open world objectives are going to be on a rotating timer, where the different objectives are going to come up after a certain amount of hours.
Mhm.
You'll get a thing in world chat saying in server announce basically saying this objective is going to open up in this much time, yada yada yada. Get there, defend your faction's claim on this land, and then it'll be however much time for everyone to get there, and then the fight will start, the objective will open, and the winners will get rewards. Which the rewards are not 100% down yet, but they are something in the. There's been a lot of discussion about what we want to do for rewards for them, and there's been a couple different variations on what the plan for the rewards are. But it's overall going to. The idea is we want to make it worth taking a break from grinding battlegrounds for 10 hours if you're locked in and trying to level your trying to honor up as fast as possible. We want there to be a good reason to take a break and go out into the open world instead of just staying in queue permanently, because that is brain rotting.
Yeah, well, 100%. Trust me, I try to get my Don Julios on my warrior. So let's see. So will this is probably a good point too for 1.18. Well, is along the way going to be 1.18, or will Hammers and Talons be 1.18?
1.18 is the name, at least that we had at the time for 1.18. It might still get changed at some point, but along the way is more of a general thing of these are just changes that are going to happen along the way, not necessarily an update named along the way.
Gotcha.
It's sort of things of like on there, I believe there was listed like an economy update, which yeah, we're gonna have, you know, an economy update, and that's not going to be waiting for a specific patch. We've had a couple updates regarding the economy over the past few months, stuff like the changes to consumables, that sort of thing.
Okay. So yeah, that was a huge was a huge change because I went from not being able to have consumables to straight up always having consumables now because I could not get mats. So speaking of mats and consumables, this is more of a crafting question for people out there that enjoy crafting. Are there plans to at some point add new weapon and armor recipes to blacksmith and other professions? Like more tailored towards like the higher end of the rating side, more like closer to Nax level recipes and stuff like that?
Yes, we are adding more recipes as it goes on. As we added a good number of new recipes previously in 1.17.1 and 1.17.0, but obviously we're not putting in a ton of endgame recipes because we weren't expanding on the absolute endgame at that point.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to be adding in over time more recipes for every profession, and going to try to add, if we add more raids, stuff like tier 4 raid, realistically we should probably be adding some more crafting that would be able to help out for people who care more to be a like crafting specialist, because not everybody wants to raid. Some people want to be really good, really have every recipe they can and be known in trade chat for being the person who does this. That's the sort of thing that we want to enable people to do.
Mm-hmm.
And even if it's not the exact best in slot, obviously it's probably not going to be.
Yeah.
It's still fun to have that option and have that depth.
Yeah, definitely. Those dragon scale leatherworking, Brograg says. So I hope some people are saying they want to see NG changes. Will they ruin all by making Thunder Fury not BIS for tanks? God. That's such a loaded
It's
question.
going to be melee hunter bis.
Yeah, melee hunters start doing binding runs. That's all I'm gonna say. So with the other thing too on Tower of Kazan is you're gonna add new customization features. Will you be giving us like a free recustomization, so or like a token or something for that, or so we can see the changes without making alts, or what's the plan for that?
I believe the plan is, because these are not fixes, they're just added options. We're not going to be giving free tokens for
Mm-hmm.
appearance change, because we try to do that when it is going to be changing what your existing character looks like. But when it is just we're adding on more things, then that's, well, it's something new. It's similar to when Blizzard releases an update, do they give everyone a chance to change their character's appearance? No, they added the new races, and you have to go through and manually do that if you'd like.
Okay, so that's fair enough. Yeah, that's actually a really good response there. Somebody's asking, is the boring challenge gonna be added to Telebeam as well?
I'm going to bring up in this week's lead meeting if we want to be adding challenges on Telebeam. It was something where originally we did not add challenges onto Telebeam for a couple of reasons, but at this point, I would like to advocate to add them on.
I definitely think it'd be good to see, maybe not hardcore, because hardcore and PvP kind of, I mean, actually, who knows?
As fun as that sounds, there was at one point I was suggesting making it an RP PvP server, an HCRP PvP server fully, but that got shot down in the draft phase for Telebeam.
I haven't seen, I know we got the two, I guess Telebeam and Northern are EU servers technically.
Yes.
So how many C servers are we up to now?
I don't know the details, as they've made a lot and then they've also had some that merged with each other, so I don't know the exact number, just because I'm not super actively involved with the SEA side of the project. But I know they have a good number of servers.
I think Rogue saying 6, huh? To be honest with you, because they weren't on my realm list, I had no idea that they were even out. Which is kind of funny. I just suddenly noticed a lot less people with names that I could not pronounce.
Yeah. Suddenly you're able to log in instead of having a 17,000 person queue.
Oh man, no, I wake up early. I wake up early. I wake up in the off hours and just log in.
Log in, get in queue, come back home after a 12-hour shift, you're finally
Yeah.
in.
Yeah, I'm finally in after 12 hours.
And then it crashed.
So you said the token, actually circling back to the token thing. So this might be more leading towards like the Turtle Wild 2.0, which probably not much might not be known yet, or you'd be willing to disclose yet. Are there going to be character customization changes with the new engine, or will the models just be updated with the resolution?
In the Turtle 2.0, you're going to look the exact same in the classic graphic. In legacy graphics, I believe is what it is specifically referred to. You're going to still look the exact same because the game is going to be a one-to-one port in the legacy mode. It is going to look, feel, all of it is going to be the same. You're basically just going to have less performance and compatibility issues. And then in the modern graphics, you'll probably look a little bit different. Just because you're going to look more modern, but overall, you're not going to look like ridiculously different.
So kind of more. So this 2.0, would you consider it more like Diablo Resurrected for WoW?
I actually don't know about Diablo Resurrected, so I can't comment specifically.
It's kind of cool. I played a lot of it recently when I was taking some breaks. And you can press G on your keyboard and it turns the game into Diablo 2. The graphics literally are Diablo 2 and it changes the UI and everything. It's actually kind of cool.
Oh, okay. So it's similar to the Halo Master Chief Collection.
Basically, yeah, very similar.
Okay. I would love to be able to have that sort of control. I believe though, because the lighting engine is going to be completely different, WoW doesn't really have like a lighting engine.
I've noticed that actually. So the night cycle is super bright. I know because I forget what time of day it is when I'm playing the game. Unless I look up and I see the moon.
Yeah, there's a handful of niche details that are just really weird about WoW. Another thing is, so somebody actually, this is a fun little anecdote. So somebody once was trying to claim that our Unreal Engine port things were just fake, that they were just mods on top of the base game. This ties back to earlier this week when we posted some updates of the work in progress lighting changes on Twitter. I'll link it in the chat. Someone was saying that was fake and that was just like us using an HD mod on top of base WoW. And the fun way that we can disprove that is if you look at the ground, there is zero foliage environmental detail there. There's none of the little grass and anything like that. And the fun detail is there. That's impossible to do in vanilla WoW. There is no way to fully turn that off.
I have HD texture, and I can tell you right now that based on what we have seen and the screenshots you guys have put out, the game does not look like that. The game does not look like that. This is new. This is new.
I am an active user of the HD mods as well. I use HD mod, Alt HD mod, Pretty Night Skies, the water pack.
I need the water pack. I need that one. I'm tired of looking at.
I'll send you that later.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, like I will not stand for this Turtle WoW gaslighting that this is fake. I use the HD pack and I can say that it's not fake. My game does not look like that. Oh, Roguereg's shaming us.
But the main benefits of the new client, even if you don't care for the graphical updates, which I think the graphical updates are just going to be cool. The big update there is the client is going to be so much more capable because we are running on a client that is damn near as old as I am.
Yeah.
So I can't I cannot stress enough how beneficial it will be to have full modding access to it and full capabilities to, instead of having to binary mod a rigid client from 20 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
we're going to be able to just go into the source and change things as we want to.
Yeah. So I, for me, I like the texture mod just because it makes the game feel different, and I will definitely be using the updated graphics just because it'll make it feel like a new game on my 10th character. So yeah, I like it. So everybody has their own preference, and I'm glad that you guys are allowing people to use the Unreal client and just have base graphics. The One of the questions was that people are asking about uh add-on compatibility, and it's just going to be the same API basically, right?
So our plan is to have all add-ons be from this version be fully compatible um, with uh, the client itself. We can look into adding on other APIs, and that's something we want to do, but that's not something that we're going to have on launch.
Mm-hmm.
Other APIs are going to come later on, not something we're going to immediately have the option for.
Gotcha. Um, I think one of the big questions I still had was raid tokens. So will bosses going forward be dropping tier tokens for classes that can be exchanged for the off spec pieces? And will I be able to trade in my tier 2 for tier 2 tanking?
Yes, you're going to be able to trade in your, I believe, last I knew of the system, you were going to be able to trade in your gear to get the alt tier sets. Um, that way, it's going to be a lot easier for people to play the spec that they want to play and play the way that they want to play, rather than being locked into specifically, oh, you need to go through this raid for another 5 weeks before you can get the old gear that's in
Yeah.
the new form. That's
Okay. Will there just be like a vendor somewhere in the world or capital city?
I don't know the exact details as to how it's being implemented.
Okay. So it is coming. So alt sets are coming. I'm happy about that because I feel like for a long time, just a lot of them are just healing sets. Like Druid, for example, a lot of it was like healing sets. And I kind of like that change because it'll actually make other classes be able to be enjoyable. Other specs, sorry, to be enjoyable. Follow up then. 2.5 plus only being able to be completed once. Is that going to change so people can get several specs? So is tier 2.5 like AQ40 gear going to be on the same? Like you might not have an answer for that. I think that one's actually I kind of didn't even think about that.
I don't know the exact details on how the system is implemented, just because I I'm not actively part of that part of the dev process,
Mm-hmm.
so I can't answer for exactly how it's being implemented. But I don't imagine it's going to be gated behind a super long quest line. Um, I don't imagine you're going to have to spend thousands of gold to do it. I imagine it'll be uh,
Yeah.
fairly straightforward.
Okay. Story-driven content. So, will the changes to the dungeons add additional story-driven quests to the new areas of the dungeon, giving people a reason to go there? For example, like the new Dead Mines area. And I think there was I forgot what they all works. It's been a while since I looked at it, but I think you were adding an area to Scarlet Graveyard.
We're adding to a good handful of places. Some of them will have quests encouraging you to go there, such as the Harvest Golem Mystery quest line is going to be changed so that instead of, how currently I believe you kill Cookie in the Dead Mines for it,
Mm-hmm.
that doesn't make a ton of sense. That was just, well, we need to have it. It makes sense to have a boss in there. But it makes a lot more sense for the Harvest Golem mystery to go into the Harvest Golem Foundry section and handle stuff in there. So the quest is going to be modified a little bit to be sending you there instead. So it's going to be some places, not all of them, are going to be having encouragement for you to go there.
Okay. All right. I like that. I like the world becoming bigger and more organic. I just like those changes a lot. Like I think I told you a while back that I was just literally walking around the world finding random stuff just literally all the changes randomly on my Paladin. Just literally I found the Chromie quest line funny enough that I didn't even know existed to get for the Caverns of Time. Which is really good. Do you think reclaiming Silvermoon should be a raid that requires a war effort? And I think that comes into the whole Echoes of Quel'Thalas patch, which I think we're skipping very far forward here into the future.
So I would love to see, and we've talked on the team a good bit about it, I would love to see some war effort like content in the game. We think that's one of the coolest events in the entire game, one of the coolest things in vanilla WoW, and we would love to, in future patches, include more things like that, more server-wide events where you can feel your impact in the world.
Yeah, I think that's good because it definitely feels it generates that sense of community too when you got people making all these plans and everything like that. And what better, since we have high elves, what better time to do it than just reclaiming Silvermoon and then the Echoes of Quel'Thalas? Do you foresee Silvermoon being a raid? Because I think that'd be cool. Honestly, more than it just being a capital city, I think it being a raid and us fighting the Scourge off and taking it back would be amazing.
There will be a Quel'Thalas area raid.
Okay. I like the sound of that. So that's not a no, chat. That is not a no. Not a yes, but it's not a no. All right. I think hammers and talons. Will dungeons be spread across the level ranges again, or will you be leaning more towards endgame dungeons for that like 50 to 60 bracket?
We want to have dungeon options in every level bracket. We're not only going to do endgame dungeons, but we're also going to have some that will be endgame. And then on top of that, we're trying to have options for every level, basically, including at max level, every level of gear. So, for example, after Grim Batol, we might not add a 4.5 or a tier 5 for a long time. We're planning on doing some different raids at earlier than that, basically, because going past tier 4 would be extremely niche content, and we do want everyone to be able to actually experience the content that we're putting time into, at least the best that we can.
Yeah. When you say raids, so more 20-man raids or more, which I know this might catch a little flack, more mid-level raids, like your like 40 to 50. Someone said add 30 to 40 content, please. It's needed.
We don't have an exact detail as to the other raids that we're going to add after those. We have looser versions of those currently, so I don't have a ton that I can say for sure, but I can say that there are a few places that there are raids that need to be done. So
yeah. More 10-man raids is another thing people are saying in chat. What is the team's opinion on 10-man raids?
10-man raid mega dungeon type things they're very good to have. Ideally, there are good options for multiple group sizes at any given level, because not only should you have the option to go and do a 40-man raid, you should also have the option to get at least something useful from like a 20-man raid or a 10-man group. It might not be at the same exact level, but there should be a motivation for you to do content.
Yeah. I think for me, I just do it because I like seeing stuff, but I think a lot of people like the shinies. Um, I think that's like all the questions I had in terms of PvE. I'm not a big PvP player. I'm sure chat might have a lot of PvP related questions. I have a couple here. I'll take some from them here in a second. We already talked about the towers. So this is one of my concerns actually. With tier 4 coming eventually and tier 3.5 coming and that power creep existing, are there plans to add more PvP gear to close in those gaps with the players that don't raid?
We will be there will be some more PvP gear coming out at some point. I don't have the exact info as to exactly how strong they are and exactly how this or that, but they are going to. There is more PvP gear that will be coming.
Okay. So someone asked, what's the state of where the stance of forced tagging on Telebeam is?
I don't know enough about the thing
I
to have.
I
a
don't
stance on.
I don't either. I don't. Somebody just had that question. I personally don't know. I have never played on Telebeam. I don't know the whole culture over there, unfortunately. Maybe that's something I do on stream. I make a character on Telebeam and just explore that whole different dynamic. Rogreg saying it's awesome. So, with the addition of PvP gear, possibly, will there be changes to rankings? So will we go past rank 14 if we have to add more stuff, or will you start implementing an honor squish basically on gear if you're adding more?
Ideally, we are not going to be doing like any sort of rank 16, rank 17. I don't want to do that because I think that adding more and more ranks there would just make the system miserable. I would rather look at other ways to do PvP gearing and PvP progression. Stuff like rated arenas, that type of thing, I think would be a lot. Rated battlegrounds, that type of idea would be a lot more fun than. Oh, you can get up to rank 27 to get your best in slot. Get farming. I'll see you in Aldark Valley.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of. A lot of people say the rank system is his dog. Brogreg saying burn it with fire. I personally like the honor system, to be honest with you, of later expansions. I know a lot of people don't, and a lot of people are gonna crucify me for it. Somebody said arena like TBC. We have that. We have arena like TBC. Have you not done Ring of Blood? No,
A ranked version of that is something that we're definitely considering to have it.
Yeah, no, definitely. What about teams? Arena teams? Is that maybe not with like the classic client, but is that something maybe doable in the future?
We can most likely do a arena rated system in this client. It would just take a good amount of dev time, and it's something where we might implement that in the future, but we might do a different system for it. We don't know 100% as of now.
And is there a plan to add rep gear or something worthwhile to Sunny Glade? Because I have played on the server for almost 2 years now, and I have never been able to get my Q to pop. So I don't know what the battleground even looks like.
I'll be honest. I was one of the people who was running in the Sunny Glade games that were getting organized a month or so back. And after playing it for a day, spamming it, I basically internally went to the team and I said, this sucks and needs to be reworked. Because it unfortunately shows how much we have grown as a team in the terms of It is a rough experience currently. I, as a PvP player, I do not enjoy it because I don't think that it was designed up to the same level as the other battlegrounds, and it's something where I have expressed to the team that it is something we need to have on our plans of making some changes to it. Specifically, I think that the biggest flaw is that not there's basically no way to effectively, as a random group without actual pre-made coordination, retake the center of the map after somebody has already taken it, because I think that the building there is badly designed. So I think that that's something that we're going to hopefully address in the future and get a little bit of polish. I know that the map, for example, is another
Mm-hmm.
pain point, and the map is getting updated currently. So
How does the team feel about a Dota style battleground?
a Dota style battleground is a very cool concept and a very massive undertaking that we're probably not going to do anytime soon.
Yeah, that's what I figured. I actually just had that thought the other day because I was playing Final Fantasy 14, and I did one of their MOBA style battlegrounds, and I thought, oh, this is pretty sick. Um, wish WoW had this, but no. So that'd be cool to see at some point. I know Blizzard was working on it at one point with their defense of the ale house, is what they were calling it. They haven't. We docked classes. You guys weren't here when we were talking classes. Chat saying we didn't talk about classes. They might have some questions here. If you guys, all right, if you guys want to start drafting up some questions here for classes, we can pop some out. But in the meantime, while they're getting those going, we already actually we did talk about it. I'm looking at my notes here. We did talk about it. Some of the
Orange
questions.
Shaman are getting a new racial. There's your enhancement leak.
What's the enhancement leak? I'm sorry, I didn't catch that.
Orange Shaman are getting a new racial.
Oh, it's not Spirit Link, or what is it? What do they have? They have Spirit Link at the moment.
Tauren Shaman will be getting a different enhancement racial.
Oh man, a lot of Spirit Linkers are disappointed right now. What I don't know if you have any thoughts on this, but what is the thoughts about adding past jewel crafting, maybe a different profession after jewel crafting, such as like woodworking for shields, bows, and I had furniture. I had furniture put on here because I got debated by the housing, by the, what was it, the Northwind host.
So I will say, the idea of furniture as a crafting thing is not too outlandish, because in the future we do want to add some form of player housing. That is something that we want to do in the Unreal client. Whether that's there on release or not, we don't know. But we do want to have some form of player housing and also a refreshed system for guild bases. And I don't have any sort of details for that yet, but it would very much make sense for a woodworking and that type of thing profession to be tied into a player housing system.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I'm back. It's not like I ever left, but I'm definitely back in on Turtle WoW now that you said player housing. Well, I feel like a lot of people just got really excited. With the goal of reducing add-on dependency in the overall UI, will that mean you guys are just creating a whole new UI? I mean, at this point, it might be a UI add-on that comes preloaded in the client. Would you say that reduces?
Not quite. What we've primarily done are little edits to the client here and there. All of them to feel very much Blizz-like, very much like they just were there the whole time. Little changes, like I really like the changes to the crafting UI, for example. That has been my favorite part about testing the update, has been using that. I'm not gonna lie, leveling engineering it made it a lot easier and a lot more enjoyable to be able to use the new crafting UI for that, because I'm someone who doesn't like stuff like the Trade Skill Master UI, that type. So having something very flat was nice.
Perspective. So, someone's saying back end perspective of dev. What are? I mean, you and I are not devs, so I don't think we're the best people to answer that question. What's something that would have been impossible on the current client that isn't going to be on the next client? I think it's the best way to word that question.
Raising the quest log limit. It's one of those stupid things that is hard coded into the client to the point where we cannot change the quest log limit. We want to. We want to allow you to take more quests at once. We've added easily over 1,000 quests at this point. We don't want to have it limited to just 20 quests at a time anymore. And we quite literally could not lift that in the current client. But in the Unreal client, we're going to be able to, and we plan to.
I like that because I always forget that this is a 32-bit client and you're kind of just like hard capped at like 4 gigs of RAM or 2, I think, honestly, unless you use large address aware. But will the new client be a 64-bit client where I don't have to depend on 4 gigs of memory?
I believe so. I don't remember, and I know that it is listed on our website on the page, so let me pull that up. Mhm. So for the requirement for modern mode, the minimum requirement will be 4 gigabytes of RAM. So
Okay, sick.
for legacy mode, 1 gigabyte.
I think some people might be concerned about a lot of people are just very like, I know I don't want to be mean to people, but I know reading isn't a requirement sometimes when playing this game, so they don't read and are highly concerned about the changes and not being able to play the game because they don't have a computer. They will be able to play on classic mode and nothing will be changing really on that end.
Legacy mode
Legacy
is
mode.
going to be able to support a smart potato. The requirements are Windows 7 64-bit or newer, a Intel Core i3 2100 or AMD A6 3600, 1 gigabyte of RAM, and integrated graphics for the GPU.
Okay.
It is going to be extremely manageable. I believe you could find a computer with those specs for less than $50.
Dude, you can play this game on literally anything at this point. Do we have Do we have to wait on 2.0 for phone support, or is that coming sooner? Yes, you do. What, you guys have phones? You guys actually have phones?
Wait.
What?
You have
Yeah, wait, you guys have phones?
like not landlines? What?
You guys are not playing Diablo Immortal and you have phones? What's going on here? We talked about this, but I think a lot of the people weren't here. The gradual class changes instead of just having them all at once for future patches. We talked about that, and you said you guys do want to do that, right? In the future.
Sorry, what was that?
So we talked about this a little earlier. Just for the people that weren't here, I had asked you if you guys plan on doing, gradual class changes throughout like the development cycle versus just having them all once per large patch. I think a lot of people weren't in here and are asking kind of about that.
Yes. In less than a month after our class changes update, we're going to put out more class changes, more little tweaks for this and that. Overall, we don't want to have this feeling of, okay, let's wait a year before we're able to fix this problem. That's not something that we're going to be looking to do. And that's why we're also looking to have a launcher for players. We're looking to provide people with a launcher so that people are able to easily update, and we can do more frequent updates that way.
Okay.
I saw I've seen a couple of people ask about this. Is MCP being changed? It's dying. MCP is dead. It was found shot in the streets of Atlanta. MCP is not going to be something you're needing to do anymore on Feral.
As a new druid player, please explain to me what MCP is.
So imagine your best in slot is farming
Oh my god,
Gnomeregan
I
for
know what this is.
13 hours.
Actually, yep, I know what this is. I had to explain, and I remember this now. It's my Nomergon farm that I was told I was need to do. Oh. God. Okay, that's good. So Feral Druid is going to be more doable.
We are reducing the misery that
Hey.
druids feel significantly.
Okay. As a new, I'm gonna keep it a buck. As a new druid here, I absolutely hate bear. I actually absolutely hate looking like a bear. Is there plans to bring back the glyph where I can be myself in bear form?
I don't know if there's going to be a human bear form glyph, but Noggenfogger, maybe?
Okay.
Yeah, might be my recommendation there.
Get the bear furbo client mod. All right. People are suggesting me things that I like. As the team stance, because right now we're nearing a little bit over an hour here. So has the team's stance on adding a new class changed since the last time we talked?
We're not planning on adding a new class right now. It's something that we'd love to do in the future, but it's the sort of thing where that is going to take so much to do because there are so many things to consider for a new class. And that's going to be the type of thing that's going to take so much time for balance and design and all that, where we would love to. I've seen a couple really cool drafts for Tinkerer. I've made myself a draft or two for Necromancer, where it would be like I love some of the ideas you can get with it. One that I had was a draft where it would be a DPS that is relying on self-healing and using your own health as your mana bar, basically. It'd be very fun, but that takes so much to balance and so much to implement that we're not looking to do that right now because we don't want to have another 1-year patch cycle.
Yeah. Okay. I feel that. So so at the moment, no to the new class. What about adding 2 more races or maybe a neutral race? Not Panda. Absolutely not Panda. A neutral race that can be either faction.
So we're adding Volpera. No.
Oh, jeez. Good.
So new races are obviously something that'd be very fun, but overall, that's not what we want to prioritize our dev time on right now. We've added custom races already, and that's a fun one to have in, but we don't want to prioritize that more. I think, and I think a lot of the rest of the team think that people will overall enjoy our dev time being spent more on custom content, stuff like raids, dungeons, zones, new gear, all that sort of stuff. We think would be a better way to spend our time than adding, oh, you can play the same stuff but as something that looks different.
One of the questions I had asked you a while back as a joke got asked in the chat. Straight backs when?
When you pick a better race.
There it is. A bit strange. They're talking about Scythe of Elune. So, I mean, I'm trying to understand this question.
So what I can say to that is, unfortunately, my lips are zipped when it comes to details about the Scythe of Elune. The new legendary is going to be mysterious until it releases.
So, What about when can I see an Ashbringer in the game?
An
When will we
Ashbringer?
have a long, arduous quest chain to corrupted Ashbringer?
I mean, even back in 2022, I gave some information regarding it. Here, I'll even forward it to you here on Discord. I gave some information back in the day regarding Ashbringer. Um,
Huh.
we might have added Ashbringer into the game with a quest turn in on that Pagel, which requires 1,148 total caught Dark Claw lobster. Might have.
Oh, so this was okay. So this is 22. I wasn't on here yet. I don't think. Actually, no, I was. I was just starting on here, so I didn't really understand who you were yet. So I might have thought this was a meme.
I mean, don't forget to buy the bait. That's all I'm gonna warn you.
Dude, I'm gonna go farm out some lobsters now, and then hopefully have enough DKP to get myself a corrupted Ashbringer if it ever drops. Actually, this might be off the cuff here because I don't think I just thought about this. So I don't know if you know much about Final Fantasy 14. Every job kind of has like their relic weapon. I wouldn't say it's like a legendary, but it's like kind of their relic weapon. You go through a long quest chain and you end up with a weapon that's good for your class. Is that something that at some point you might aim to do for the classes? Give them like a long class related quest chain that they go on to get a weapon that upgrades with them.
Not necessarily upgrades
not
with
a legion,
them.
not legion like. I think I forgot to throw that out there.
Not that upgrades with them, but obviously we really do like the class quests that there are in the game. Stuff like the Benediction, Anathema, things like the Rock Delar quests. Those are really fun, but we don't want to make it so that your progression is just from that, not from going to raids or PvP and getting gear upgrades from there.
So definitely not like Legion is. So I like the idea of adding more class specific items like your Benedictions, your Anathema, your Lockdelar. I almost said Lockamir. That's the other one. I don't think every class needs one, but I would like to see more of those. I've actually, because those are kind of cool. And I don't know if the community feels the same way about it, but I know some hunters have feel some type of way about Lockdelar. Someone said
I do very much like. I do very much like watching people who don't know how to do the class quest line for hunters, trying to do it and getting punched in the face by the demon. That's always very entertaining.
I will confess, as a warrior, I was in Decimus, and I was leveling, and I was a naive young man. I did not know what was going on, and I may or may not have gotten a hunter killed.
The incident.
Yep. That player probably isn't play anymore. This is a long time ago, guys. There's no shot that he's still around. I hope. But yeah, I apologize. Class mounts. What's the more class mounts? Less class mounts? No class mounts?
I don't know if we have any specific plans for more class mounts. They're always something fun to have, but at the same time, they do somewhat detract from the overall like progression of getting a mount where you go to the vendor, you get your mount, and that's the big exciting thing of, oh man, I finally saved up enough gold to get my first mount, that type of idea. That's fun. So it kind of replaces that. And in some ways it feels really cool to do it, but then in other ways it's,
yeah,
I don't know. I mean, druids are in a way getting a class mount. With this update, they're going to be able to go on a long, expensive quest chain to get swift travel form.
Oh, I will look forward to that, actually. That's kind of cool. Is that a stag? Is that a stag? I know you probably can't say.
You'll have to go
Wait
on the
and
quest
see.
chain and spend the gold and find out.
On next week's episode. But honestly, I think we've covered a lot of the things that I had questions about, and I think a lot of the things that people needed. Someone said, but what if we broke? Oh well, it's not for you then.
Don't be poor.
Don't
Get
be
farming.
poor. Go get a job. Will we see another? God, I know this. I know the community kind of like tripped out over this during Easter. Will we see another Easter egg event similar to it? I personally, as a gambling addict and a person who collects trading cards and plays trading card games, loved it. There was a stream where I'm pretty sure I opened like 40 eggs.
As of right now, we're not planning on doing another like loot box type event. We're not planning on it. I obviously I can't say, oh,
Yeah.
it'll never happen, because the decision could come from above me that we're going to do it again. But as of right now, I believe that the plan is that we're not going to do it again. It was overall not super popular with the community, and there were some arguments for it, some arguments against it. There are some arguments for it is a cheaper way to get like cosmetics and things, and if you can in moderation buy a couple of them, and then okay, I got my mount, I got a bag, and I got a random companion, cool, and I got that for less than one of those things would have cost me. That's always good. But then there's also the argument of, well, people with gambling problems will start gambling, and some people will spend more than they can, and it's the sort of thing where it's
a moral
in the
gray area.
Yeah, it's in
that
a
gray
moral
area.
gray area, and it's something where overall I believe that we came to the conclusion it's not really something that we want to have on the store.
Yeah.
So probably not going to be having it.
Guys, I have unfortunate news. There is a ad break starting in 1 minute. I cannot push this one back. So we might have to pause here for a second. And if you guys can come up with some, what are we at right now? We're at hour 20. I don't know how long this ad's going to be. So we might have to call it here, guys. I don't know. I think we had a decent amount of questions answered here for the next coming patch. Release date is, the message has been pinned. It's going to be coming up probably in the next 30 days. Within the next month. Let's go there now so we don't give an exact time frame. So thank you guys for stopping by. Honestly, special thanks to Vrograg. Unless you guys want to wait through the ad. I don't know if Akalix has anywhere to go.
I don't particularly, but I also don't have too much more to say.
Yeah, I don't know what much more can be said. I will probably close this out here in a second as soon as this ad's over. So let's